Thank you very much, ma'am. Honorable Minister of State for Commerce and Industry, Shri Som Prakash ji, Srimati Shruti Singh, Joint Secretary, all the esteemed members of the National Startup Advisory Council, all the esteemed members of the jury. I'd particularly like to recognize our three very senior colleagues from the startup ecosystem who have always stood like a rock in all the activities that we have been trying to do. Mr. Sanjeev Bikhchandani, Mr. Manoj Kohli, Mr. Rajan Anandan, all the other distinguished winners of the Startup Awards 2022, all the members from different startups who have joined us this evening, exhibitors, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, a very, very big congratulations to all the award winners who have been recognized for their fantastic work today. Congratulations. Of course, a day of celebration, a day which I hope will hold you in good stead as you progress in your journey in this new idea that you have seeded, that you are going to expand, hopefully across oceans. But also a day which will, I hope, encourage every one of those who were shortlisted and every one of those who even applied for the awards. I would like to give a big round of applause and congratulations to everybody who applied. And I think the fact that you had the confidence to put in your papers, send in your application itself makes you a winner, makes you deserving of accolades. Because you had the confidence, you had the courage of conviction to believe in yourself, to believe that you are capable. And awards is always very difficult. Somebody mentioned earlier today, I think one of the two participants, the gentleman from Skyroot Aerospace, and I just noted his words, I was lucky to get selected. I disagree with you. I don't think you were lucky to get selected because I know the hard work that the jury puts in. And I know the amount of painstaking effort that goes into selecting each one of the winners. So clearly you are not lucky, but you are slightly better than the rest. And I'm sure it's always a difficult task selecting a few out of the many applicants. But I must commend the jury for the outstanding work that they do, the number of long hours that they put in, and for their selection of very good ideas, very good innovators who truly deserve today's award. I would also like to compliment all the exhibitors, some very innovative ideas we saw today, and I have no doubt in my mind that across the country, in the remotest parts of the country, and I believe there are over 650 districts today, where these 88,000 startups are housed. We have almost half of them with at least one woman co-founder or director. The fact that this idea has got seeded across the length and breadth of India is itself a success of startup thinking. And if I may venture to suggest, I have often found Prime Minister Modi as one of the best incubators of ideas and one of the best persons to come up with innovative ideas to address the many challenges that we as a nation also face. I was listening to some of the award winners and about their work and what they have done. And I thought about the number of new initiatives that have been seeded over the last few years, which have had a huge impact on the India story. We are entering into the Amrit Kal. In that sense, 2023 is a very, very important year. We've completed 75 years of independence, a day when we reflect on, a period when we reflect on a lot of achievements of the country. But as we enter into Amrit Kal, we'll need to have out-of-the-box ideas. We'll need to really see how we can progress much faster than ever before to meet the growing aspirations of a young India. And in that, if I see the number of initiatives and the timeliness of those initiatives over the last few years, I recognize that Prime Minister Modi has worked to creating the foundation, the building blocks of a resurgent India, of a powerful India, of an India that gets recognized throughout the world today as the emerging growth story, as the country which will power economic growth across the world. If you look back, and many times we forget because a lot of things we almost take for granted. I can't imagine the startup ecosystem becoming so successful unless Digital India had been launched in 2015. Now, in the typical government way of working, one would think of a program, one would plan it, one would take years to kind of provide the funding for it. Then we would say, okay, we'll go to 1,000 villages, then we'll expand that to 10,000, talk of going to 50 cities and towns, and in an incremental way, take this idea forward. Prime Minister Modi thinks of the entire country and is always focused on speed, skill and scale in execution of projects. When he visualized Digital India, he recognized that unless we take it to the remotest corners of the country, we won't be able to truly get equitable development throughout the country. And can any of us imagine, without the Digital India mission launched in 2015, without this rapid spread of 4G throughout the country, and now with the launch of 5G on 1st October, we'll truly get into the most modern systems available anywhere in the world. The fact that we have been able to take broadband through digital fiber across the country, and probably another year or so, every village panchayat will have broadband connectivity through optic fiber. Now, without this building block, can we imagine an ecosystem that develops so much on, that depends so much on technology? Could we have had a startup ecosystem in the remote parts of the country so that even when I go to Banaras and I invite all the local startups, there's a room full of young boys and girls at the Banaras Hindu University? And that is the strength or the power of an idea when taken to speed and taken to the remotest parts of the country. It engages the whole country with that idea. In 2016, when Prime Minister Modi launched the Startup India mission, as Mr. Anandan was mentioning, who had imagined that we'll become the third largest ecosystem in the world for startups? And in the government, who could have imagined ideas like CoWin, ideas like One Nation, One Ration Card, ideas like PM Gati Shakti National Infrastructure Master Plan? Who could have thought of UPI powering so many startups and now so many unicorns? We are currently working on the Open Network for Digital Commerce, which will similarly, just like the Unified Payment Interface, help us in democratizing e-commerce across the length and breadth of India, saving probably millions of mom and pop stores or small retailers from becoming extinct, as they have in the more developed nations, where you rarely find a small corner store or a small retailer, even in local neighborhoods. The Chandhan Aadhaar Mobile Trinity, the JAM Trinity, was such a powerful idea that today lakhs of crores of rupees go to our more deserving people, the poor, the less privileged, the underprivileged, through their bank account, through the JAM Trinity, through direct benefit transfer, ensuring honesty, integrity and transparency in the entire system. And therefore I feel very often that the government itself today thinks like a startup. Prime Minister Modi keeps giving us a lot of encouragement to focus on newer ideas and then saturate them throughout the country. After all, when we look at startups, we are basically looking at ideas, new ways of working, which will impact people. Innovative way of working, which will improve the efficiency or effectiveness of whatever each one of us is doing. Newer ideas which can help improve the integrity or transparency of our processes, our procedures, our way of living, our way of working, improve productivity. And in each one of your ideas, many of whom have got awards today, many of whom have got awards in earlier years, but many of whom may not have got the award as yet, and maybe just a razor-thin margin, a mark or two here or there, and you were not able to come into the final category. But it doesn't take away from the power of your idea, from the power of your thinking, from the impact that your idea will have on the nation. And therefore, this entrepreneurship that each one of you is demonstrating, that each one of you is seeding, that is coming up from all across the country, different parts of the country, encourages me to suggest that India has today arrived on the global stage when we talk of startups or the startup ecosystem. A lot of good ideas which many of you have been recognized for, a lot of new ideas that each one of you must be thinking in your mind that might be on the way, will help us as we want to move towards becoming a developed nation. And it's important that we leapfrog, and technology can be a great enabler to leapfrog into the new age so that we can actually get the fruits of these developments and help 1.4 billion people across the country have a better quality of life, ease of living, help entrepreneurs or businesses across the country, small or big, in their ease of doing business, hopefully bring back some of the ideas that germinated or originated in India but are today being used in other parts of the world. We need to bring back that ecosystem into the country also. And some of the ideas are so powerful, so impactful, that they could actually change the very way we live, the very way the ecosystem works in India. One of the exhibitors outside today was mentioning that they are looking for people for jobs. And every month they have a vacancy list which keeps growing, but they are not able to get people. And they said, all the time we are hearing this story about joblessness. Our own experience, it's outside. Maybe on the way out, I would urge you to spend some time on the exhibitors outside and encourage them. And the young lady mentioned that we actually are not able to get people. And that, I think, is where each one of us can play an important role. I'm sure the Mark portal will help us in refining and fine-tuning our own ideas. Actually, Manoj, I would love to be a part on the Mark portal also. I don't know if I would qualify, but I would really love to spend some time, because I think it will help me also evolve and understand what is happening in young boys and girls' minds today. Even your portal on the investor portal, I think it has very good possibilities, the Investor Connect portal that you are in the process of finalizing. I hope it can be ready very soon, and the big advantage of that is that very often I'm concerned that people in remote areas with ideas, whether they are getting equal opportunity to also raise funding for their ideas or to demonstrate their thoughts. So I think this portal will do a lot of service, will help us reach out to many deserving startups who may not otherwise be able to come in contact with the funding ecosystem. I think one of the major areas of focus for us in government has been simplification for people engagement with government. I don't know if you recall, right from day one, Prime Minister Modi removed the process of notarizing documents. I think many of the young kids here may not remember it. You've never had to face that. But some of us in this room have all our life been looking for the nearest notary to certify our own existence. Certify that I am who I am. And it was a ridiculous situation. You were looking for a person who doesn't know you at all. You take a document to him, he just signs, puts a rubber stamp, and that rubber stamp had a value. But unnecessary botheration for the common man. It's a simple idea. Today it sounds very easy to have done it, very easy to have implemented it. But I remember the amount of resistance when the Prime Minister Modi first mooted this idea. Oh, people will misuse, people will give fake documents, people will not come up with the actual reality. But I don't think over the years we face any difficulty of that sort. I don't think over the years, there could be one or two isolated incidents, but by and large, I don't think anybody has misused this confidence, this trust in the common man that Prime Minister Modi is always encouraging us to grow and believe in. And I would urge some of you in this room, if you can pen down your thoughts with your experience, as you've worked your way up, worked your way through your startup, your business idea, your entrepreneurial journey, what are the areas where you found any difficulty? Some of us in this room, Sanjeev, Manoj, can really help us in a big way in this. What are the areas where you can suggest that instead of process A, why doesn't the government follow process B, which is simpler, less confrontational, or less, let's say, complicated or costly, and which will meet the same objectives. I would urge each one of you, help us to help you and other entrepreneurs like you. Please send in a note. Maybe the startup group could write an email to all the registered startups across the country and ask them to suggest to us what more we can decriminalize, what more we can reduce in terms of compliance burden. While we have tried our level best, we've reduced the compliance burden, in many cases eliminated it, in over 39,000 areas across state and center. But we would love to hear more from you, because I'm sure there are many more areas where we can eliminate the burden of process on all of you. In fact, another thought that came to my mind as I was listening to other speakers was, can we have a robust database of all the startups in the country? Som Prakash ji just asked me a question on the stage. What is the hit rate or success rate of the startups? We've been hearing different numbers at different forums. Possibly the success rate of startups becoming unicorns or startups making it very big may be less. But I won't be surprised if there are many startups which in their own way have been successful but not really recognized or captured in any database as success. Some moderately, some in a big way. It would be different levels of success. So maybe we need to have a good startup database. Maybe that database needs to have good keywords. Ideally, just a one-pager on the startup with contact details so that people can actually use keywords, get to the kind of startups that they want. It will help us in government procurement, for example. If I have to procure a particular thing, why should I also not look at startup ecosystem or database and quickly try and locate some of you who could help me in the service that I want. So let's try to go for a database. Let's try and capture more and more of our innovators' ideas in a crisp, brief manner, and then make that available to the public and to businesses at large, so that we can then get other industry associations and business houses also to see how they can be engaged with the startup ecosystem. We on our part have, of course, tried to help the system through a number of funds, through innovators, through the Atal Tinkering Labs, but would certainly love to hear more from all of you. How we can do more, how we can do better. This is a listening government. This is a government that wants to promote and propagate the future of India along with each one of you, collectively. You know, Prime Minister Modi often saying, if the nation takes one step forward, each one of us takes one step forward, the nation takes that many steps forward. So if 1.4 billion Indians were to take one step forward, imagine what an impact it would have on the world with 1.4 billion steps going forward. And towards that end, I think the work that all of you have done is truly commendable. The work that the government ecosystem to support startups has been doing has been hopefully supporting you and handholding your efforts. But all of us collectively are willing to do more, are willing to engage more with each one of you and see how your innovative ideas can really come to fruition, can start impacting the future of India, can start helping the common man, whether he's a farmer, whether he's a dairy producer, whether he's a small shopkeeper, whether he's a MSME unit. Everybody stands to benefit with your making life easier, simpler, cutting down the cost of processes, making them more efficient. As Steve Jobs said, and I quote, innovation is an ability to see change as opportunity and not a threat. I think all of you very well recognize that the innovation that you are doing is going to help India becoming a better place to live in, a better future for every Indian in this country. Once again, my congratulations to all the award winners. Congratulations to all those who were shortlisted, all those who applied. Keep the fire going, keep the enthusiasm on. It's the fire in your belly. It's your desire to achieve big things. It's your self-confidence, which is very, very highly encouraging to each one of us. May God bless all of you. May the year 2023 be a great year. All the very best.
ABP Majha, उघडा डोळे बघा नीट.